at this point, I want to kind of get into, or we want to get into, like the family dynamics of extended family, like the godmothers and the godfathers. So before we go in, how do you guys feel about godmothers or the practice of having one? Because you didn't get to choose it.
Okay.
You were given a godmother.
I'll
in
start.
most cases.
Okay. Because I think mine's is nice and simple. I do not have godparents. I do not have godparents. When my parents got together, I think there was a way their relationship that was established where I think certain like steps where you really consider things about when you're having a child together just weren't a priority. I also think my dad comes from a really big family. He's one of 7. And I think at his point in his life, I don't think he really prioritized family connection, if that makes sense. Because he was always so with his siblings, his parents. We have a ton of cousins on that side, on both sides, but like a lot of cousins. So I just didn't end up with godparents. And then none of my siblings have godparents. And so I've been told, but then I've been introduced to people that has been referred to almost like as a godparent, but I never had a relationship with them. So I've only seen the godparent dynamic through extended family and friends. But I do think I missed out on a piece of part of like the whole family relation thing. I feel like I got left out.
Oh, the brothers did too.
Yeah, and also like I don't know, like in what world you living in when you said my dad's side family is big. You said 7. 7.
That's not big.
Well,
in the Haitian realm, that's 7.
It's like normal. It's like normal, you know.
That's normal.
7.
Okay, touche. I put in the
Gigi
context
Mouye.
I feel it too. I just did my hair. But no, like American culture, being one of 7 is considered a lot.
A large, yeah.
But not in Haiti. You're right.
I mean, I'm curious because you're right. Like that is, I feel like in Haitian culture, that is I don't want to say misstep, but maybe something they forgot about because I feel like it's so common to hear about how people have godparents or are godparents because I have godparents. But the relationship piece is still similar where there's no connection. It's just like, hey, these are your godparents. And then it's like this awkward interaction. And then they always talk about how they changed your diapers, right? Like they always bring that up.
Right?
Right. You know, you got to a certain age and then like you really didn't hear from them at all. But so my godmother passed away when I was really young. So that was like I really never met you type of thing. But my mom speaks so highly of her because she trusted her with being, you know, a godmother. And I also think that my mom was intentional about making that decision. However, my godfather is my brother, my older brother, which when I think about it, I don't know if there's rules around how you pick a godparent or if it should be like family, extended family, like a different person was not part of your family. I don't know what the regulations are around that. But yeah, my godfather is one of my older brothers who we also don't have a relationship. So it's like, okay, like, and by the time you chose him to be my godparent, he was a teen. But my godmother was an older woman. Like she was well into her, like, you know, I don't want to say older, but like 40s, 50s. And then you chose a younger, you know, sibling, like your younger child to be a godfather.
Is your brother the oldest?
Yeah, he's the oldest.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting because I'm not really sure how, and I don't want to speak just to Haitians, but I'm not sure how people can determine a child would be a good godparent at a certain age if they're not already an adult.
I feel like for you and I feel like there was probably the church aspect missing in the selection of godparents.
That's probably
because
true.
Technically it is supposed to be an individual that's supposed to like care for the child's spiritual well-being.
Absolutely.
Really?
And then
that's the purpose.
That's the purpose. And then if something happens to the parents, then they would take on the responsibility. But that's originally what the purpose of godparents are. So like my mom and dad weren't in the church when they met and had me, and then I know you've shared about your background too. So I'm feeling like maybe that's where things about who should be godparents.
Yeah, got mixed. It got
mixed up.
It got a little muddy. And then I also think that like godparent, like we're thinking about the spiritual aspect of like, covering your child, making sure they're saved for eternity, right? But then I also think that the term godparent is also being just directly correlated with guardianship. Like what happens when I'm not here and who's responsible for that versus like, because even in guardianship, I feel like there's a lot in that, but how far are they really thinking into it? Like, can this person, like, for example, my godfather, who was, at the time was maybe like, 16? Like, if something did happen, thankfully nothing did, but like, now what?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, how was that decision really made, or what was the thought process altogether?
That's definitely interesting.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't
all
know?
of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for me, I guess I'm at the opposite side of the spectrum. My godparents were super involved. Actually, I was raised with my godparents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you listen to episode 1 or whenever we discuss our journey, like my mom sent me to my godfather's house to be raised in Port-au-Prince. And then my godmother happened to also live in the same house as my god. And they weren't like, so the way the house works, so this doesn't sound too weird. My uncle, which is my godfather, my mom's brother, they had a house that was pretty big enough where other people lived there, other family members lived there. So my godmother happened to be someone that my mom parent raised. So it was like my mom's sister, but not really her sister. But they were so close enough where they felt like sisters.
Yeah.
And she lived in Port-au-Prince at my uncle's house. So when my mom sent me to my uncle's house, which is my godfather, to live with them, I was also under the care of my godmother.
Can we pause? Because even that dynamic and connection you just explained, I feel like it's quintessential Haitian families.
Oh, yeah.
But as I think us in the U.S. and other places, probably that is fading away.
That is
That's a dying tradition. But she was basically my mom. And the other thing is, too, I have 2 godmothers. So here's how it went based on my mom's explaining it. I'm the first child. So my family, my mom's family, everyone was pretty close. And my grandma and my grandfather, they were like the people in the neighborhood and the areas they live in that took care of a lot of people. Like, and my mom had a lot of people that would come to the house. Either she was raising other people's kids. Like, they were just that group that would take care of other people. Like, and especially in the area that they were working, or that they lived in, a lot of people didn't have a lot. So I had, a lot of people that was at the house. So some of the people that she got close to are people that her mom raised. So she kind of carried it together and raised more people. So actually there were people in the house that I didn't know, but they were my mom's godsons. So they became my brother by godparents. I don't know if that makes sense.
You had a whole god family over there.
Yeah.
Literally. When I was there for my grandfather's funeral, somebody was like, "Yo, this is your sister." I was like, "Sister?" Like, "Yeah, your mom is her godmother." And I was like, "She was like 12." My mom's been away for like 19 years. How?
Wow.
How is she still being godmother to people she never even met? So there goes the dynamic of how they choose godparents. They choose godparents based on how much money you have and how much you can provide and how much you can help this child that I'm about to have. Like, right. in the context of Haiti or that area that my mom was brought up in, it's like my mom and dad were people who had, because they worked at the time, and of course there's some areas people don't work and earn money like that. So when it comes to that, it was like, oh, I just had a child, and this lady really helped. My mom was a person, almost like a nurse sometimes, because she had like, those Band-Aid boxes or the special first aid kits. So she had a lot of first aid kits because the company she worked for was called CARE. So their whole thing was to care for the people in the area. So my mom had access to a lot of care products or things that, so when somebody's not doing well or they just come to my mom My mom will like put a Band-Aid on them or stuff like that. So because of that caring aspect, they were like, oh yeah, you should be a godmother to my son.
Which makes sense.
The qualities are good. Like, you know.
Right. And they look at it as, again, if I'm not able to do something. Or, I could almost like Marens was supposed to be the ones that could take care of something more than you can.
Ooh. But so logically that makes sense because it's why, like, Leon, you're saying, you know, they picked your oldest brother who was a teenager.
Yes.
That has some risk.
Maybe when she goes to work, he's there to watch you.
Yes.
Right. So maybe that's your
made sense.
God.
There. Yeah. But your mom sounds like she checked off all the boxes. Because even I know you're not bringing up the spiritual aspect, but like knowing your parents' background, I think that was also covered then too. Yeah.
The only problem is they became ATMs, which that's another conversation for another day.
So did you get sent more to your Maren or your Paren?
Both. And then this is not going to be a trauma. I already, I think, went through that process already. But when it comes to discipline, it was both. So sometimes my godmother would whoop me, or sometimes she'll wait for my godfather to come to whoop me.
Oh, gosh.
So when the matter's worse, my godfather takes care of the whooping. When it's like maybe subtle or little thing, my godmother will probably, handle it. But if it gets worse, like my report card, my godmother would take my report card because sometimes she'll pick me up from school, sorry. So she'll put my report card on my godfather's bed.
Oh my goodness.
The only reason she does that because he's at work still. So as soon as he gets to work, he goes in the room and looks at that report card, and I get a call. Like, I get a call to the room. They try to pretend they want to talk to you at first. So explain to me.
Yeah. And what am I supposed to say?
What is this grade? Because the grade in Haiti, the grades were in numbers. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I usually sometimes I come home with like 7.5 or.
And that's acceptable?
No, it's like in the middle. It's like a C.
So C.
7.5 is like a C. 7.5 is like a C. So then from that standpoint, you got to explain why. And sometimes they pretend to explain it, and then the more you explain, he starts moving and grab the belt.
It's a trap.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You explaining is a trap.
Because now he's moving to the door, locking it.
The only response was, I'm sorry, and then still take the whooping.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But you need to save your breath.
And this is another thing. In Haitian culture, there's no apology. America is what brings the apology. Sorry, there's no such thing. There's a word. There's no word in Creole for sorry.
Pardon.
No, right? You do Monday pardon. You have to do pardon. You have to ask for sorryness.
That's funny.
But I get sorryness.
That is
Who's sorry? No, Monday sorry.
That is true.
It's not you're sorry. So there's not really that humility. They don't teach you to be humble.
Even in a scenario where you're at fault.
What do you mean?
Technically, you're in trouble, right? There's no point of explaining what happened.
Okay, most people who say that they're sorry, and again, it might sound really bad right now, are the ones that work in the house. So sometimes there is a person that's almost my age that a parent could not take care of, so they send to Port-au-Prince, and he now becomes like, he still goes to school, but he becomes like the person in the house that take care of the outdoor, do things like that. Usually they're the first ones to say sorry. They usually come with that humble mindset because of where they come from. For me, for some reason, again, and I'm not saying it wasn't taught to me, but it wasn't a first nature thing for me to like humble myself. It was more like, and also because of the whole situation of me leaving my parents and them sending me there, I didn't have a humble mindset either. I was more like that rebel, like, you're not my dad. Like, why am I here having to explain to you what I've done, blah, blah, blah. Like, you shouldn't be the one whooping me, blah, blah. So, like, that situation was a little different.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyway, back to me having two godparents. Two godmothers, not two godfathers. Two godmothers, because the father didn't really care. Paren is not such a big thing in the Haitian community. Marens are more.
It's your Maren.
Yeah, Maren.
Having a fiel.
Yeah, Marens are more. Parents seem like,
But we can talk about that in the social aspect, but we don't want to go there because women really do a lot.
Right. So see, again, that's another family dynamic we don't think about though. But from a mutual friends standpoint, male mutual friends, when they're having kids, they want their best friend to be Paren. So that's where it plays a bigger role in paring the kids and paring mariage. There's two different levels too. Did you have a paren for your mariage or Maren for your mariage? What is that called?
A matron
I had a
of honor? Is that what you mean?
like a maid or maid of honor?
I guess your maid of honor is no. Sometimes they have maid of honor and they have paren and Maren.
Yeah, a matron.
A matron.
That's what it is?
I had a maid of honor, and I had a maid of honor.
Is that your Maren then? C'est Maren mariage?
No, it's not. That's not her matron.
Okay, so you didn't have one.
No, I did not.
What's the difference though? We didn't.
One
I feel like we need a real Haitian in this
I
conversation.
thought the matron.
I don't think we covered that.
You're right, because I feel like my definition is from a American perspective, because I thought that your maid of honor could be married or unmarried, but your matron was supposed to be married. It's someone who is married.
So what I know, I guess that's the Maren of paren of mariage, because what I know is I remember my best friend or ex-best friend was getting married, and he chose these older folks to be Maren and paren of his.
Yeah, because they're married. So maybe that was the reasoning behind why he selected them. Yeah.
So what do they do? Apparently, they're the counselors you go to when things need to be talked about or something.
That's a good concept, but like for example, the officiant or the pastor who married us, they are, I guess you could say, they hold that place. But we didn't make them that. It just happens organically because of the church and them wanting to be involved and us creating relationship. But I think that's also something in the Haitian culture that I don't know if it is also a dying tradition or it needs to be, is that people receive responsibility just on title, but they're not intentional in the title they're given. Like, I'm just going to put you...
Why are you dropping gem right now?
I'm just going to put you in the position of Maren and paren, but it's okay if you're not really doing anything. Because similarly to your mom, Mark, when you're saying that she has these god kids in Haiti, but like that's her title... But like, and not that she wouldn't do anything, but it's just like, it's just, that's it. And that's my title. Similarly for me, I have god kids in Haiti as well that I've never met, but that's my title. And for them, that's what matters. You are this to them.
Repeat that again. What's that the deal?
That's your title.
In the Haitian culture,
in the Haitian culture, they are very adamant about the title being more important than the actual duties or responsibilities within it. So if you are the godmom or godparent and you aren't even, facilitating the responsibilities, it doesn't matter. This is your title. And that's what matters. And I'm going to tell everybody that this is your title. Do you think
in the back of their heads, they prioritize responsibility over the title?
So I want to interject and say, I do think responsibility does play a role in the like how special the title feels. Because, for example, I do think Haitians do forecast, and they forecast in the more like worst case scenario. So I don't think someone would take on the title in terms of the Haitian culture of Pai and Maya and be like, oh, it's not like so-and-so will never pass away. I do think in the back of their mind, they do think about the fact that if something happens, I do have to step up as a caretaker. Now, how great of a caretaker?
That's different.
That's different. I think there's an ideology about childcare that is just, different concepts, especially if you put it against Western culture. Like when you talk about your childhood, I don't know if your godparents would go back and say, maybe we're a little harsh on Mark. No, I'm sure they were like,
no, they're gonna take credit. Exactly. They're gonna be like, that's why he's such a great man today.
Yeah. Period.
That's it.
Right. But and even just the giving of money, the amount of times I've heard arguments where it's like, okay, yes, I may have quote unquote mistreated you, but are you really going to allow that to discount all the financial support I supported you?
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
That's a good point that you make in terms of like their ability to forecast, but I don't know that they are forecasting in a way that really qualifies someone's ability to care for the child.
But that's what I'm saying.
And
in the Haitian culture, what qualifies you as a child caretaker?
Everybody's like,
poser des questions. I think the first qualifier is age.
No, I disagree because my godparent
I'm telling you, for Haitian people.
To care for a child.
In general.
You just need to be old enough.
Okay.
Old enough.
I think that's the first qualifier.
Number one.
Okay, age.
Second qualifier, money.
Money.
In my opinion. And then third qualifier is ubomun.
Yes, not crazy.
You have to be ubomun.
Outwardly.
Are there subcategories
You're gonna
within
agree.
that?
Go ahead. No, drop what you think. What do you think?
I agree. No, I agree. I just think that we all know as a society it's more than that. And I'll leave it there.
now we know though.
Yeah,
so that's where again,
because they
the
didn't
way
know
we were
that.
brought up.
Yeah.
And then the way we're trying to.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to say, I can't put anything out right now, but what I'm going to say is I am potentially going to be a godparent.
That is what you want in your future.
No. I can't put too much things out right now, but what I'm going to say is I am potentially going to be a godfather.
Okay.
And then, but the responsibility that I have been given, which means by the people who are potentially making me the godfather of their child,
right?
There is an expectation. It wasn't. I don't know if my godmother or my godparents received expectations from my mom, but I believe now in our generation we are being more intentional. About
for sure.
who we make godparents, and if we do have godparents, because I think a lot of people are choosing not to have godparents.
For example.
Either.
Leona is a godmom. I think that's an excellent choice.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
How did it feel when you became a godmom?
So, because I was chosen to be, that was really, it felt really good. It felt really good that this
Did
person.
they say why they chose you?
Yes.
Okay.
They that was like similar to you, like they discussed like they would discuss like expectations and things like that. So it was nice to know that this person trusts me and has seen my life in a way that they're like, hey, if worse comes to worse, I know you are capable. And that's heartwarming to me because I also have like really like TMI maybe, but like I also have like a fear of being a parent, which like I don't know. I don't know how that can come off when I'm interacting with kids. So it's like, oh, you see that I have this nurturing spirit, which, sometimes we don't know about ourselves. But yes, it was, I was honored because that was the first time in my life that someone chose me to be a godparent because they saw my life and they knew me versus all the godchildren that I have, I don't know because they were chosen based off of my mom who recommended me.
Gotcha.
So my mom was like, oh yeah, you just, Leona's, and I didn't have a say. Like, it was like, I didn't know until you presented me the child and was like, hey, this is your god kid. And I have a lot of guilt associated with that because a lot of the godchildren that I was given essentially, I was a teenager.
Right.
Like, I was not an adult.
Right.
I was, if I can think of the oldest, like 14, 15. Like, I don't know what that means. 1, 2, you're in a whole separate country. Like, I don't connect with you. We don't talk. There's a language barrier, But then at my age now, older, like, they'll get on the phone and be like, oh, vin pala fielu. And I'm like,
right.
I don't know you.
That's the one.
It's
That's the
weird.
one right there. So now that you have, I don't want to say this Americanized aspect of way of viewing things, but it's a new aspect. I guess we have to take it from an American standpoint because we live in America, right? That's why we have to kind of like, that's the only thing we can compare it to. Because in Haiti, what I would say is if somebody made you a Maren and Paren and you get on the phone with your fiel and you acting like there's no such thing. I've never seen that before. I've never seen anybody that's a Maren not be like, oh man, fiel moi.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if let's just say if somebody in Haiti right now had that same thought process of the responsibility aspect. That makes sense? So I think it might be just an honor, quote unquote, to them that they became godmother. No matter how many god kids they have, they still feel like it's their responsibility to be fiel. Fiel. So like when you do look at it, the responsibility now there's fear.
Yes.
If they in Haiti per se, I don't know if they look at it as responsibility. I think they see it as a connection, not necessarily as a responsibility. Like they think of it as like, oh, now I'm part of this family.
Because family's important.
It is. It's more important than now. Because my parents would say, oh man, I'm sure them Tahiti, tonton la journée, but them vin America, ako na America, mun power family power family.
Yeah.
And I think like that for my family, especially my mom's side of the family, I think that has really impacted the dynamics moving forward. Because before my mom, similar to Mark's home, everyone lived either in the house or we were all
close
on the same block.
Oh, they come to you on the weekend.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that too, because that's how I'm right now. Like we're all on the same block. Like go right, you can walk right up the street. There's this Intel. It's crazy.
Yeah, and so
it's Intel family though.
They are, because Haitians are going to say they are, and then you accept them.
No, balance, I know.
Is that dying?
Because guess what? It is dying because it takes away the responsibility. See, so fun. See, fun how. But it's only funny when everything is good. Wait till something goes bad. Funny toujours. Again, you take away the responsibility. And that goes back to a deeper point, which we're not going to get there because we don't have time for this episode. But as far as Haitians, we're so emotionally attached that when it comes to responsibility, we neglect it because it takes the emotions out of it.
It takes the emotion out of it.
The responsibility takes the emotion out of it. It's like romanticizing something.
Okay, I see what you're saying. The idea of this is nice, but
the actual
is not done correctly.
Yeah. And that's a little deeper to what Haiti's going through right now. We like the concept of what Haiti is like. We like the thing of like, oh, I'm so Haiti. But you know what it's going to take for us to really get through it? Sit down and figure out the problems and solve them. But that takes responsibility.